the law shall not depart out of thy mouth.
So it says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth. Let me get Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 6 and 7. So it's saying that this book right here is not a book of different beliefs. It's not a book of different denominations, but it's a book of law. Of laws. You got civil laws, you got moral laws, you got sacrificial. You got 5 different types of laws. Civil, moral, dietary, sacrificial, and what do you call it? Ceremonial. So you got those 5 different laws. This book talks about those types of laws and how you're supposed to, on a daily, you know, abide and live by them. Right. So go ahead, read that, and look at what it says. This was one of the commandments, one of the instructions he gave to us even before Moses. A lot of our people, as far as, you know, the people that were with the Most High, the sons of God, they were already in tune into the law. That's when we look at Noah and his 3 sons, they were righteous in front of the Most High. Everybody else got wiped away during the flood. They got wiped away because they were doing wickedness continuously. It says on a daily, like you look at America nowadays. America, as far as the other nations, not the so-called blacks and indigenous Latinos, they into wickedness. Then we go ahead and tag along. You got sodomy. Back in the 90s, our people were not in tune into that. You look around nowadays, our black brothers, our black sisters, Latino brothers, Latino sisters, you look around, it's like an epidemic. A bunch of homosexuals upon our community. Amongst us, next to us, you know, within our own families. Back in the day, they would stay away. They'd be in the closet, you know. A lot of people nowadays, I was looking at documentaries about, you know, gangsters or whatnot. What I was watching, it was Latin America. So they say, you know, their fathers would either hope for them to be straight and be righteous individuals, but if worse came to worse, they prefer them to be thugs and gangbang over being homosexuals. That's what the documentary is about. And then now that, you know, homosexuality is allowed, they came out and said, you know what, actually that was just a front. Now they all out. So you see, you got all these homo thugs, all this homosexuality all around, letting you know that, you know, the laws that we are abiding by are not the laws of the Most High. Because when you look in Leviticus 19, it tells you what it says right here. You know, you look at Deuteronomy 22 and 5, you know how we're not supposed to wear that which pertaineth to the opposite sex. But when you look at all that origins of all those things, when they began to occur, it's not our people that brought it forth. It's the other nations. You know, you look at back in the 1960s, our women didn't wear pants. You know, Margaret came through, and she came through, not just did she bring the, you know, the, what do you call it, pretty much bringing up the woman to be like the men. I forget the term right now. Also, she brought forth, you know, the population control. The aspect as far as, you know, black babies and Hispanic babies being nothing. So, you know, they came and started different methods like, you know, contraceptions. You got condoms. You know, nowadays you got the day after pill. You got patches. All this stuff was to annihilate our people. And when you look at the scriptures, it lets you know why. It lets you know that if we, according to the scriptures, living on a daily, we were to be ruling. But if we weren't, we would be at the bottom. Now, you know, these demons, these nations, in Psalms 83, it tells you that they know about who we are. Who did they bring into slavery? You know, that wasn't any other nation. It was the blacks that are not Africans, but the blacks that descend from the Hebrew Israelites. The same thing from here. Latinos, the indigenous people, they took back to Spain. You know, just briefly touching on history, but when you look back, read that scripture out, it's letting you know that this book of the law was not to depart out of our mouth. And we're going to see what happens if it does, which happened, and it's still happening nowadays. That's why we in all these different denominations, you go across the street and you ask them about the law, they're going to tell you, you know what, the law is done away with. In the Bible, it tells you in the last book of Revelations that the law is not done away with. If ye are without the law, then ye are considered dogs. So with you, a dog, you keep them inside or outside the house. Where do you keep a dog? Outside the house, right? So when you look at the Most High makes the same reference. He's like, look, if you want to be a part of my kingdom, you got to be with the law. Because without, you're like a dog. So a dog stays out. He stays out of his kingdom. You check that out in Revelation 22:14 on down. But let's go back to the beginning, Deuteronomy 6. And let me get, I believe it's 7 and 6. 7 and 6. Yeah, 6 and 7.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6. And these words which I spake this day shall be in thy heart.
So this is back in the days of Moses. And if you read the scriptures before the days of Moses, we already had laws. Moses right here is just reiterating the law to Israel because we had gone amongst the heathen. We were living amongst the Egyptians. So we picked up a lot of the customs that the Egyptians fell under, that they did, such as sodomy, such as all this lip plating, worshiping the sun, worshiping Ra, worshiping all these gods. Because when you look, they got various gods for different worshiping. And that's what our people were into. So now Moses, the Most High spoke to him and told them this speak to the children of Israel, which I have spoken to you this day. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
So he says, and these things that I'm going to talk to you about, you got to teach it to the little ones. Not half, but diligently. Diligently. Diligently means that you put your 100. The Moabites. Yeah, but we're dealing with one thing right now, one thing at a time. So he's telling you that you are supposed to come through, learn these laws, which you have forgotten, and deal and teach your kids on a daily, diligently. Go ahead.
And thou shalt teach them to them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way.
So he's letting you know, when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, like you got the sister walking with the kids, that's what you're supposed to be talking about. But when you look around, you look at all these billboards, all this other stuff that throws you off. Oh, look, Mom, look, 4G for $40 a month. You look at the Coliseum, USC is going to play next week. The Super Bowl tomorrow, whatnot. So everything that we think about nowadays is a complete distraction, and we do not what the Most High commanded of us. That's why you see everything it's already it's pretty much laid out for our destruction. So that's why it's necessary that we come back and understand, like you asked, who are the Moabites? Who are these 12 tribes? Those are the things that we're supposed to be asking each other, asking ourselves, teaching each other. But our people look at it like, that's boring. You know what? Let me continue on with my day. We continue on with our day, and we moving towards death. Then again, people say everybody dies, but when you look at Revelations again about that second judgment, that second death, which is your soul, your spirit, that's what we don't think about. Why? Because we so far from this law. That's why the Most High said, look, I got to talk to Moses. Moses got to bring it to the people and wake them up again. Because they got so deep into this world that they don't even consider the ways of the Most High. Go ahead, read. So it says, in all aspects, and he's going to get real detail at what time and when are you to be teaching your kids this law. Go ahead.
And when thou walkest by the way, and when thou layest down, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand.
So letting you know, thou shalt bind them. That means that constantly, at all times. Go back to Joshua 1 and 8. So at all times, you're supposed to be teaching your kids, you know what? According to Leviticus 11, the swine, lard, all the seashell, all the seafood that's not containing scales and fins, it's against the law of the Most High to eat. But why, Mom? First, Most High said it. We're not going to question the Most High. But if you want to get, scientific about it or go into the health aspects about it, you eat swine, you see this little boy or girl, whatever right here, those worms coming out of his face, out of his mouth, his nose, it comes from a disease called trichinosis that you get from eating swine. Either eating too much swine, or eating swine that's uncooked, or eating swine that's already contaminated. That happens a lot, not so much out here, maybe in the South, but it happens a lot in our Latin American countries. It happens a lot where there's more poverty. But letting you know, even to the days of the slaves, when you look at all the different things that our people are in tune to consuming, it's stuff that the slave masters, the oppressor, will give our people. They will give us the worst. They will treat us like dogs. Chitlings and pig's feet and all that.
That ye all speak the same thing.
You see that? We're not going to get anywhere. People want to rise up, get arms, and fight the demons, fight the devils. But how we going to fight if you're going one route and I'm going another route? See? You got to get, like you said, before you even teach, you got to be knowledgeable, right? So I can't go be a nurse if I don't go to school first, right? I can't be a lawyer if I don't go to law school. So you got to understand, before you even are able to speak about this Bible, you got to learn it. So go ahead, read it from the top again.
Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no division among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment.
See that? So we can't move unless we join together. 100. No division among us. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I look at it, but from a different perspective. So what do we got to do now? So obviously you're not looking at it from the perspective of the Most High. Because he told you got to be all in one accord. When you move, you got to be doing it because I told you to do so. When you read about the Maccabees and so forth, you read about David, you know, you read about Saul. Saul compared to David, you know, Saul fell off because he wanted to do his thing. You know what, I'm a sacrifice and I can't wait for the Levite to come through, so I'm going to do it myself. Strike one. Then he goes and deals with witches and all that to try to talk to Samuel. That's not being in one accord, because in the scriptures, what we're reading about it, when you go back to Leviticus, it tells you that was one of the things that we were not to do. We were not to deal with, you know, witchcraft. We were not to deal with wizards, you know, observers of times and all that stuff, which is what the Egyptians were doing. You know, they were observing all kinds of different gods and different entities. But that's why going back to Joshua 1 and 8, and this is what you got to see. Our people want to rise up. The Black Panthers did it, you know, Malcolm X did it, Cesar Chavez did it, the Brown Berets did it, the Zapatistas are still trying to do it. Who has succeeded? None. Why? Because we're not rolling in one accord. We got the might, we got the seal to fight for our people, but we don't have the knowledge, the law, we don't have the understanding of the scriptures. You know? So go back to Joshua 1 and 8.
Joshua chapter 1 verse 8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein.
So he says you got to do this and you got to do according to all that is written therein. Like I said, for example, the pants situation, right? Women are not to dress with the attire of a man. Men, we're not to do this, vice versa, the same thing. Our men are supposed to grow their beards, you know? That's what shows the difference between a man and a female, you know? You're not supposed to eat anything with blood, even if it's beef or chicken. It's got to be fully cooked, you know? You look at America nowadays, you go to, you know, Sizzlers, you go to any restaurant, Cheesecake Factory, you know, Applebee's, their thing is medium rare. Our people nowadays start following those things. Oh, you know, it's more succulent, it's more tender, so I like my stuff medium rare. You know, in the scriptures it tells you that's against the scriptures. That's against the law. So you're transgressing. You know, there's lip plating and all this stuff. You see a lot of our Latino people nowadays, the youngsters, you know, they got gauges and all that stuff. That comes from the Hamites, the Africans. Those are things that we're not supposed to be doing. You know, you read the first 5 books, it tells you all the things you're supposed to do and all the things you're not supposed to do. You know, cutting yourself, putting tattoos on yourself for the dead, all that stuff is against the law. And he tells us these things because all the other nations were doing it. That's why even us marrying other nations is against the law. You're not to go have a husband, a white husband, an African husband, a Arabian, a Chinese, Japanese, none of them. You're supposed to marry amongst your people. Remember what happened to David, right? I mean Solomon. Solomon had all these wives. And at the end of the day, the wives turned him from obeying the Most High, and he started worshiping all these other gods. But see, that's the thing, our people forget about it. So now he's saying, if you completely do what I need you to do, and follow these laws on the daily, there wouldn't be the confusion we have nowadays. What religion are you? But see, that's the thing, we're cursed for the fact that we disobey the law. But look at what happens if you obey and do all the law. Go ahead, continue. Because the brother said, what are we going to do? What's the next step? You guys don't do enough. You know, you talking this and that. But see, like I said, if you don't have a plan, if you don't organize, how are you going to go to battle? In Proverbs it tells you that. You got to counsel before you do anything. But our people just want to, you know. Well, if you did it in ignorance, sister, that's one thing. Once you read the scriptures, like right now, right, I tell people, whoever's listening, in the scriptures it tells you in Leviticus 19, it tells you that actually go there. Let's get the tattoo and all that stuff. But one thing that you got to understand, that's an ignorance. Once in Hebrews 10 and 26, it tells you now that you know and you willfully do it, then you're in a big transgression. But if you got a tattoo or whatever, right? You have one on your person, that's in the past. It's like you ate swine. That's in the past. Now you know that that's against the law. You're not to do it from that day on. You know, in this law, it's always, you're always going to be learning different things. You know, you might learn, oh, you know what, you're not supposed to mix different types of material and wear it on you. You might be in the law for a while and not come across that. But then when you do, then you stop that. You know, like the pagan holidays. Everybody celebrates, for the most part, all these holidays out here, folly days. In the scriptures, it tells you that's against the law. We have in Leviticus 23 holy convocations, like today being one of them. It occurs 4 times a month, which is the holy Sabbath. We're to keep those. There's no cooking, there's no buying, there's no selling, there's no doing your pleasure on the holy Sabbath. But you see, our people, that's the day that we take advantage. That's the day that they have indoctrinated us into believing that that's the day for you, the weekend. Weekends were made for fun or whatnot, right? But in the scriptures, it tells you from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, you're supposed to hold it. And actually, it's in the 10 Commandments. Exodus 20 and 4, 20 and 8, the 4th commandment. But see, all those things, when you do them in ignorance, that's one thing. But once you get in the scriptures and you see it, that's where you got to stop that. That's how you gain repentance. All right, you got that out? Leviticus 19? Go ahead. And I'm just read where it says in the scriptures, you know, for you not to do no cuttings and no markings on your body. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord.
What does that sound like? Tattoos, right? You got like the South Pacific, the Maori people, they mark themselves up. All that is against the law. You got our, you know, our indigenous people, they will do such things as well. Also, that you remember the blood covenant, all that stuff is against the law. But our people picked all these customs when we were in captivity amongst all these other nations. Just how we have picked up all these customs that we never thought about in America. Because you look at America, America houses all the wickedness in the earth. You could have a Elamite woman, meaning your East Indian woman, come through. When she was in her land, she'd be covered up. As soon as she comes out here, it's all out. You know, you got people from Latin America, women that are virtuous, women that you go out there and be like, man, you know what, that's a good candidate for a wife. They get out here, completely turned around. You know, but why? Because it's what we see. Our kids, we wake up and look, and what we observe, what we witness is nothing but wickedness. You got gang violence, then you got GR, EBT, all that stuff, Section 8, welfare. It have, you know, they hold you to a point that you got to be dependent upon these heathens. When in Israel, it tells you he that don't provide for himself is like an infidel. But see, America got you, they switch everything around. But see, our people, then they trip, like, why are Hebrew Israelites always talking against America? Always talking, why is it a black and white thing? It's not. It's when you look at it and look at the wickedness that these people do to our people, then you see why we cannot be with them. You go back to the Torah and it tells you you're not to be at all with these people unless they're in subjection to you. But how are they going to be in subjection to us if they rule the earth? You know, but the only way we could come back is by going back to the law. So to finish that off in Joshua 1 and 8. And when you check out Leviticus 19, read Leviticus, read the first 5 books, and you'll see the different laws that the Most High left for us to go ahead and live by. So now when we know that knowledge, Joshua 1 and 8 tells you this. Go ahead, read it from the top again.
This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy ways prosperous. And
you hear that? So now if you do this, all thy ways will be prosperous. Because the Most High is going to be with you. If the Most High is with you, who could be against you? Right? That's the thing that these heathens know. The white men, the African men, the Arabian men, all these other nations know. Give me a Judith, huh? Judith 5. All these nations know that as long as we follow the law, They're to be in subjection to us. They're supposed to be ruled by us. So they're like, you know what? We can't be that foolish no more. We know what keeps them in rulership. So that's why they come and do all these things. When you check out Psalms 83, I might get to it if you don't leave. Psalms 83 and 3, it lets you know, that all these heathens are confederate against us. They're united, they're in one accord against us. And we're actually going to get to it after this scripture. Just get to the point. Let me see. Yeah. Check out Judith. We in the 5th chapter and the 17th verse. Go ahead.
Judith, chapter 5, verse 17. And when they sin not before their God, they prosper.
So these are the heathens taking counsel amongst themselves. They're saying, check this out. When they take heed to the law and follow the commandments of the Most High, they prosper. Go ahead.
Because God that hated iniquity was with them.
You hear that? God hates iniquity. There's no around that. God hates iniquity. So he says, every time that these Israelites, all these tribes that you see right here, which you're one of, it says, as long as these people follow these laws, the God that hated iniquity was with them. Go ahead.
Verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them.
So now there's the flip side. So they have historical accounts of what has gone down already. Because the Israelites are with the Most High or against the Most High. So now he's saying, when they were with the Most High, everything was good for them. But now when they departed, what happened?
They were destroyed in many battles, very sore.
Destroyed in many battles. At the Babylonian captivity, the Persians, the Medes, the Greeks, the Romans, and now this captivity that we're in. A lot of people think that we're not slaves. But you tell me how we got to the Americas, right? And what's gotten better since then? We still in shackles, mental shackles, which is worse. You read about the Willie Lynch letter. You read about the Inquisition for our so-called Latino brothers. It's the same thing. To keep us in this jacked up state of mind so they could rule over us and have us as their servants. Minimum wage. They got the Latinos, sometimes they don't even pay them. You look at Home Depot, them cats ain't there just because they like to chill at that corner of Home Depot. They right there, they're trying to sustain, they're trying to send money back to their peoples out, in Latin America. But you got nations out here, they come pick them up, use them, and sometimes just leave them without wages. You see, when you read the scriptures, a wage was to be given that day up. Even that is a transgression in this land. If you work for me, that same day I'm supposed to pay you. But see, all that stuff is forgotten. Why? Most High the scriptures just said, as long as we knew the Most High, he was with us. Once we disobeyed him, everything turned around. And we got destroyed with a sword destruction. You read about the history of the slave ships. What's that? Goodbye, Uncle Tom. Check that out. Google that. Goodbye, Uncle Tom. And you're going to see all the stuff that they were doing to our people. Man, you're going to be heated. And you're probably going to be feeling like this brother right now. What do we do next? The brother that just left a little while ago. But see, we can't do nothing unless we're prepared. Unless we're, we gather the instructions that the Most High gave us. But see, go ahead, finish that up.
And were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground. And their cities were taken by the enemies.
And that's what happened. When you read the history about 70 AD, when Titus, the Roman armies came in and sieged, Jerusalem, that was the last time that we were in that land. And we ended up in the west coast of Africa. Then we ended up through them ships, because there's not Africans. You're not an African. The Africans, the Arabians, and the white men came through and were involved in bringing our people to this land. But we're going to go to Psalms 83 right quick so you can see, how the Most High had already talked about this. Even in Deuteronomy 28, when you check out Deuteronomy 28, we're going to touch on that right quick to see and prove that we are actually the Israelites from the scriptures. Because a lot of people have problems with understanding that. All right, go ahead. Read Psalms 83.
Psalms 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hateth thee have lifted up the head.
You hear that? So it says, they that hate thee have lifted up their head. We already read in Judith how these heathens, you know, take counsel among themselves and see, like, look, you know that when they, with the Most High, everything is a go for them. So now we got to see how to come about and go around that and jack them up so we could go ahead and rule over them. So now the scripture is telling you that they have taken crafty counsel against us. When you look at the United Nations, we don't have a seat in the United Nations. Like the brother always brings out. They in a room, right? They discussing matters. They talking about somebody. Everybody there except for you. So who do you think they talking about? Who do you think they out here putting together, you know, to see how they're going to subdue us? Complete, you know, continue to keep us in this jacked up state. They brought crack to the black communities, you know. They brought heroin to the Hispanic communities. You look at all the different things, how they move. They don't move just randomly. They crafty. Go read that again from 2 on down.
For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hateth thee have lifted up the head, and they have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
So he's got, you know, these heathens, all these individuals, you look at them, you know, dressed up, suited and all, they have taken crafty counsel against, it says, against his people, against the Most High's people, which is Israel. We're going to go into that. But you see, continue on down.
And consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Is Israel in our minds? When I ask you, well, what's your background? What's your ethnicity? What do our people usually say? Right? But yeah, but we say either say black, we say Afro-American, you know, we say Hispanic, Latin, languages, you know, all these different things, like you said, colors and so forth, 2 different continents. These are the names that the oppressor left upon us. Have they not done their job? Like a mug, right? To the T. That's why you see our people, look at them, you know, we walking down the street, you see a black brother, he look at you a certain way. Or if a black brother got blue and the other one got red, they look at each other a certain way. If a Latino, they got blue and they got red, it's the same thing. You know? All the same things, but a lot of our people say, you know what, we're not the same. Yeah, we live in the same hoods, live in the projects, we suffering from every single verse in Deuteronomy 28:15 on to 68. Everything that you go through, our Latino people go through. And I'm talking about the indigenous people, because a lot of things get misconstrued and they look at, you know, like I say, I always bring out when you watch television. A lot of these Latinos out there, they're white. A lot of these people out there, you know, on the TV, on media, you know, on all them channels that you view, those are not our people. Because just how, you know, the so-called black gets discriminated, our people also get discriminated. When you go to Latin America, a dark-skinned individual is looked as being a lesser, you know, individual according to society. You know, you look at the pyramid, a brother got a pyramid, and he got the dark-skinned people on the bottom, and you got the so-called Spaniard, Hispanic man at the top. Letting you know it's no different. But see, we get caught up with them titles. And at the end of the day, we start hating our brothers when we're going through the same thing. You know, you might experience, you know, some Mexican or Salvadorian, Central South American do something to you. That doesn't mean that everybody is going to do the same thing to you, you know. But one thing you got to look at, when you look at as a nation, both of our people, you look at the prison, blacks, Latinos, HIV, all STDs, black and Latinos, single parent homes, black and Latinos, and including Latinos, I say the indigenous people as well, the Native Americans. But now, go to Psalms 147 to let you know that the Most High has only been, from the beginning, dealing with one particular people. Not everybody else, because see, a lot of our people, which I really don't understand, and I'm telling you, go check out that little documentary or whatever, Goodbye Uncle Tom. You know, just check out the riots in the 60s. You check out that Butler, the movie, right? You check out all these little different things that has happened in history, but yet you want to go run and hug the enemy. You want to go and dye your hair and look like the enemy. Black women and Latino women. Even black men and Latino men. You know? You want to go out there and get contacts and look like the enemy. How the hell does that happen? But see, Stockholm Syndrome. That's the reason behind all that. But see, our people, man, that's the thing that bugs me. And that's why the Most High says, you know what, you as a man, you got to be a watchman for your people. So when you see brothers out here, that's what we're doing. We're out here to edify our people. Go to Isaiah 58 and verse 1 right quick before we continue with the next precept. And it lets you know that we are to be out here on a daily. We read in the scriptures, right, that you got to instruct your kids constantly. But instead, we have the babysitter checking them all day. TV, cable. Now you got tablets, iPads, so forth, the internet. When you look at all these devices, man, that's what Psalms 83 just told me right now. Let's take crafty counsel so we could have Israel, you know, have that mind state that they had before disappear. Now you out here thinking you just, you know, who knows what you know, a lot of people think differently. But at the end of the day, we're not going back to 1 Corinthians 1 and 10 telling you that we all got to be under one accord, under one, you know, one law and in one mind. Everybody thinks different, so everybody does different. You know, a lot of people say I have my own relationship with God. Right. How is that? When he told you the only door, the only way to get, you know, the only possibility of you having a relationship with God is going through Christ, right? And Christ, when you break that down, is the law. He was the Word that was made flesh. When you look at the Word, is the law. But see, how do people say that though, you know? You go to Hosea 4 and 6, it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. That's what we in the situation we're in. See, you know your scriptures, and that's what the scriptures say, you know, the only way to get to the Most High is through Christ. Christ is the law. So if you don't follow the law, there's no way you have any relationship with the Most High. Because in Proverbs 28 and verse 9, it tells you, if you are a sinful individual, your prayer is an abomination to the Most High. Your prayer is like a piece of swine to the Most High. Your prayer is like a piece of dung on the floor to the Most High. You walk around and look at, you know, you see dog poop on the floor and pick it up, like you just came up with something? Do you or you don't? Hell no, you walk around it. So the Most High listening and you're praying, he's looking at you like, get away from me. It's like you have a child. Look, daughter, you got to do this. Look, son, you got to do this. And they do contrary to what you tell them, you ain't going to be happy with them. Hey, mom, can I have this? Did you do what I asked? From you? No? Oh, well, then there you go. The Most High is real strict with all that. But get that right quick. Isaiah 58 and verse 1. This is the whole duty of us as Israelite men. When we out here in these corners, we're not out here to bash our people, which is what a lot of people get. I don't know how. A lot of people don't like to listen. You know, they start talking, they heard something and they go off of that instead of really, you know, checking out the facts and checking out what really, you know, Jake's is saying. Exactly. You know your scriptures, sis. You hear. Check out that literature. We having class tonight at 4:30 as well, closing out the Sabbath. Down on Manchester, not too far from here. Like you said, he's calling you. There's no coincidence that you out here on this corner of the Sabbath, and you know you came across right as soon as brothers, we were not even set up yet, you know, and you stuck around. But go to Isaiah 58 and 1.
Isaiah 58 verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not.
So he's letting us know, cry aloud. Reason why we got the speakers. He said, cry aloud, spare not. So whatever the brother's feeling, whatever the sister's feeling, he's saying, look, don't get concerned with that. Keep going, keep rolling, and do what?
Lift up thy voice like a trumpet.
Remember, a trumpet was used in Israel to warn us. So it says, lift up thy voice like a trumpet. Go ahead.
And show my people their transgression.
Then he says, show the world their transgression.
Show my people their transgression.
So hold that and go to Psalms 147 and verse 19. So he's real clear. He says, show my people their transgression. Reason why we in the hood and not out in Beverly Hills or whatever other, you know, area heathens live at. We in the hood with our people, because that's what the commandment states. Show my people, the blacks, so-called blacks, the so-called Latinos of indigenous descent, and my Native American people, their transgression. Why? Read that.
Psalms 147 verse 19. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and judgments unto Israel.
So we know who Jacob is, right? Pertaining to these 12 tribes, who is Jacob? He's the father of the 12 tribes. Yeah, he's the father of the 12 tribes. Jacob is the father of all these tribes that you see right here. These tribes make up Israel. Jacob's name was switched to Israel. So he's saying, he hath dealt, so go ahead, read from the top, 19.
He showed his word unto Jacob.
We already know the word is the law, and it also pertains to who? You said it a little while ago. Who's the word? The word was made flesh, remember? Jesus. So the Savior, Jesus Christ, he said, he showeth his word, meaning this law, and also Yahushua, Jesus, unto who?
Unto Jacob. His statutes and judgments unto Israel.
So Jacob and Israel is the same individual. Most High writes it like that and puts it out like that, so you have no, you know, when you read it, there's no and, ifs, or buts about it. It's real clear. So he's letting you know he had dealt so with Jacob and showed the statutes, his laws, and his commandments unto Israel. What does it say after that?
He hath not dealt so with any nation.
So he hath not dealt so with any other nation. So go back to that Isaiah 58. So he's saying, show my people their transgression. And what else?
Show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
So that's what we're doing out here. Showing our people their transgressions. We're not coming from no religious aspect as far as what the world knows. Because you know the true religion, which is the true beliefs that you got to live and pretty much put forth on your daily walk, is the laws of the Most High. So if you look at, you know, when you find religion, I believe it's in James, you find it in the Maccabees as well, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about the laws that the Most High gave us to follow. If you're going to refer to religion, that's what it's talking about. The laws that you got to live by. You know, what you practice on a daily. So we already read what we're supposed to practice on the daily, which is everything that's written therein. And then thy way shall be prosperous. But let me go back to Joshua 1 and get verse 18, and we can see the flip side of that. And like I said, on your own time, check out the literature right there. Check out the website at the bottom. Any questions that any of you might have, go up on the forum. You know, you could hit it up. A lot of the questions are already up in there and have answers. But like you notice yourself, you know, the Most High is calling you back for your families and so forth. You see, that you got to take heed to that, sis. You know, imagine we know the truth, but we don't teach it to anybody. What good is it? We the watchmen. So, you know, do go try to come through and you know, learn, because you got to learn. You know, you go to the headmanship, you know, in 1 Corinthians, it tells you, you know, that the Most High is the head of Christ. You know, Christ is the head of man, and man is the head of the woman, and the woman teaches the children. So, you know, you got to have order in all that. So, well, what you got to do is, you know, learn the law, because he already told you what to do. You know, because we have dreams, like, you know, a lot of people have dreams or whatnot, but at the end of the day, if you ain't following the law, you know, what good is a dream? You know, you can tell people whatever you want to tell them. You know, the Most High speaks to you a certain way, but at the end of the day, remember, in the scriptures it tells you that the female was not to teach. One, you know, but secondly, like I said, you know, in 1 Corinthians, when you pull out the rank, the order, the divine, you know, order, you got to see how everything got to be done decently and in order. So for you to come across and be able to even teach the kids, you got to come through and get instructed, like you yourself said a little while ago. So, you know, the Most High put you on this corner. Now you go, you know, like we say, we got a school. You don't consider it, you know, a church. You know, you're the church of the Most High, but we have a school where brothers, you know, come and cover different topics. Any question that you might have, we don't go by what we think, our opinion, but we go based on the scriptures. So when you go and get the answer from the scriptures, that's what you teach the rest of the people, you know. Because at times, you know, you come through a dream and you might be misinterpreting the dream. So you're going to go out there and put some false, you know, false stuff to people. So you got to pretty much come back to the law. and go based on the law. That's it. Anything else, anything other than that, you know, you're playing with fire now. You know, so you got to go back to the law and follow through. Like, you know, we were covering on MLK a little while ago, how he had a dream. He had a dream that all the people were to come as one, right? Read Deuteronomy 7 and 6, and you're going to see how this dream was his dream, not the dream that the Most High put out for him to spread across the world.
That's the devil trying to confuse me in my sleep, and that's the Lord.
Is it according to Scripture what you're telling them, though?
Yes.
I mean, if it's according to Scripture, you coming out the Scriptures, that's one thing. But like I said, I really can't answer that to you, know, because like you just said right now, the devil also knows like that. So who knows what it might be. But I mean, if you're instructing them according to the law, I don't see nothing wrong with that. But then again, like what I said, just come to book, come to, you know, to the school, whether it's this school or any other school. Yeah, we on Manchester, and get instructed and really go and break it down according to the Scriptures, and you will see. You know, especially if you're coming through and you're talking to a man, that's out of order. You know, unless he's your son or one under you. You know, but other than that, you cannot be doing that because that's against the law. So now you're breaking protocol. So at the end of the day, you know, you're out of line. All right, get that right quick. And just you know, talking about MLK and the dreams. But when you look at this, he said that basically everybody was to be one, right? The black, the white, the Chinese, the Latino people. But the Scriptures tell you otherwise. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So we know he's talking to Israel. So he says, for you Israel, you're a holy people unto who?
Unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
So you see how the Most High chose Israel to be a special people unto himself. There's 18 nations. We were the last nation. He says from those 18 nations, he refers to Israel as his only begotten. Imagine you have 18 kids, and you only refer to the last one as your only begotten. What does that say about the rest of the kids? You're not really with them, right? It's like, yeah, you had them, but you know what? They have another purpose. Because a lot of people get tricked out on that. So why did he create all these other nations? You read in Isaiah 14, he lets you know. Even before that, in the Old Testament, you see that all these nations were to be our servants. And we follow through. Just how we are the servants for the enemy nowadays, we were to be, you know, in rulership and have them as our servants. So he says, go read it from the top again. 18 nations, he's only dealt and always dealing, we read in Psalms 147, 19 through 20, with one particular people, that being these 12 tribes that make up the nation of Israel. So read that from the top again.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
He hath chosen us to be a special people unto himself. And that's why I don't get when you know our people out here, you're supposed to be the best, but you tagging along and trying to be like the enemy. Identity crisis. You out here, our women trying to look like the white women. Our men trying to chase for that white woman. And vice versa. You look at our Latin community, man, I got cousins, they all married to white men. Why is that? But letting you know, they look at it, even when they brought that image of Caesar, that fake Jesus over there. Why is he white? Why is he painted the way he's painted? You look at our people, we talk in the Scriptures, we pull out the Scriptures and tell you that that's a, when you read the history about that individual, Caesar Borgia, he was a pedophile, he was a sick individual, molesting, raping kids and all that, sleeping with his sister. Our people get upset about that, but that's the truth. But why is it like that? Because we've been conditioned for hundreds of years to believe that that image is the image of the Son of the Most High. So now when we look at the white people, we look at it, oh, white, they pure. Yeah, they're the chosen people. So we already mentally, we jacked up thinking that these people are better than us. And you know, you look at like my household, for example. When you hear my parents, you know, my aunts and all of them talk about, you know, a pretty individual, they consider what's pretty somebody that's light-skinned, got blue eyes, got brown hair, blonde hair. letting you know the jacked up condition, but what is what we read in Psalms 83. They have taken crafty counsel against us. Even when you look at the black community. Remember, you have the light individual, the light-skinned J, compared to the dark-skinned individual. I even think there's a thing about the Barbies. And they ask kids, right? What do you think about the black Barbie? Oh, that's a demonic individual. That's somebody that will lie. What do you think about this white Barbie? Oh, you know, pretty. And all the positive attributes go to the white Barbie or whatever. Letting you know how they have played with our mind and jacked us up. And got us in the state nowadays that we just look at the opposite and we think that's what we're supposed to be. But in the scriptures, it teaches us otherwise. So letting you know, all the different things that these people have done is for their benefit. The only thing that's going to benefit us, how we just read, is going back to the law, teaching it to our kids, and continuing from there on. Alright, go ahead, finish that up. 7 and 6 on the top again.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So we were to be above all people that are on the face of this earth. You look at Jim Crow laws. They had no dogs, no Negroes, no Mexicans, right? Why is that? You think about it, when you really think about it, they knew who we are. They knew who we were, they know who we are nowadays. So they had us segregated. They had us separated, right? And they started to see how our people started to rebel against that. But see, if MLK would have been unlocked with these scriptures, instead of him teaching, you know, we all got to come together, he would have been teaching them, look, this is the reason why they don't like us. This is the reason why they always against us. Because the Most High has chosen us to be a special people unto himself. So therefore, they're trying to keep us at the bottom so we won't rise up. And you teach the people with that mentality, with the understanding, you teach them the law, the revolution would have been different. The outcome would have been different. They say, where would MLK be if he was white? Where would he be nowadays? Like every other brother. They'd be alive, right? Well, you look at the police brutality and all that. They go and gear towards, you know, all that happens to the blacks and the Latinos. Nobody else. You know, but that's what, you know, when you read about it in Deuteronomy, I'm gonna finish it off. You're going up next. I'm gonna finish it off. I'm gonna go back to Deuteronomy 28, and just to see what we just read in Judith. You know, as long as we were with the Most High, we excelled. Nobody could do against, you know, nobody could come against us and defeat us or do anything harmful against us, to us. But it explains the same thing in Deuteronomy 28, and we're gonna read 1, and we're gonna jump to verse 15. And this is the covenant. This is a contract that the Most High made with Israel through Moses. You know, back in the day when we were entering our land, Canaan, the land of Israel. Go ahead and read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations on the earth.
So, by the looks of it, does it seem like we have kept the laws of the Most High? Not at all, right? Because look, one of the first blessings was this. Read 16.
Verse 16.
My bad, verse 2.
Verse 2. And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city.
That's verse 3. And verse 2 is crazy because you look at it, when you read it, he says, all these blessings will overtake thee. It's like when you jump, you know, you're in the ocean, a wave comes through and just, you know, goes over you. It says we were going to be beyond blessed. They were just going to overtake us. No matter which way you went, you were just going to be blessed all throughout. Which is a situation that occurred back in the day. Then we waxed fat and kicked. We got comfortable and started doing wickedness. But letting you know, all these blessings were going to come and overtake thee. And it says, read 3 again from the top.
Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field.
Are we blessed in the city? Are we blessed in the field? Not at all. So obviously we're doing the opposite of that. Get 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
Now this is the flip side of the contract. You follow, you do the law, you were going to be overtaken by blessings. Now, but, go ahead.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments.
Some of them?
All his commandments.
Just the 10 commandments.
All his commandments.
There's over 600 laws in the Bible. 613 laws. So it's letting you know to do all his commandments, all his statutes. Now what?
And the statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So all of these curses were going to come upon us and overtake us. You know, the brother might go into it, but just one of them, when you read 68, that's one of them. We were brought out here as slave ships. You read 54 and 56. 54 talks about the man that was going to be evil towards his brother. He got the gang violence. Read that as a matter of fact. That'll be my last verse. 54.
54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate.
So an individual such as your father, grandfather, you know, uncle, your brother. Those individuals that care for you, that's what delicate means, tender among you and delicate. Go ahead.
His eye shall be evil towards his brother.
So his eye was going to be evil towards his brother. So when you walk down the street, that's what you usually see nowadays. For quite a couple, you know, for several years, you see all that, you know. Back in the day, our people will greet each other. Nowadays, you just look at each other, dog each other. You know, you look at different colors, you start tripping over that. So it says that the eye of these individuals that were supposed to be caring and have love for you, they were going to be what? Their eyes were going to be
evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
You hear that? Single parent households, broken families. That's what that verse is talking about. But you know, on your own time, check out the whole chapter of Deuteronomy 28, and you will see. And think about it when you're reading it. Think about it like, all right, this, I know this affects me, but how about my Latino brethren? My so-called indigenous people? Do they go through the same thing? And when you really think about it, you're going to see that every single verse affects the whole nation of Israel, which is the nation, you know, that consists of the so-called blacks and so-called Latinos and so-called Native American people. You know, but like I said, try to come through, sis. 4:30 class on Manchester. I'm going to let the next brother come up. Hopefully you were edified today.
Tuesdays and Fridays too.
And Tuesdays and Fridays as well. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Fridays at 7 p.m. Today the class is going to be at 4:30 p.m. And if you need the address, you can call the number right there. 1525 West Manchester. All right. It's on the web.